Mia had a desk that looked like success. There were colored pens lined up like tiny soldiers. Blue for definitions, pink for important ideas, yellow for things that felt important, even when she did not know why. Her notebooks were neat. Her calendar was full. Her laptop had 12 open tabs, all related to studying. From the outside, Mia looked like the kind of student who had everything under control. But there was one small problem. Every time she closed the book, her mind went blank. Not a peaceful blank. Not the kind of blank you get when you are relaxed. It was the blank you get when your brain quietly says, "I was not there for any of that." Mia did not understand it. She studied for hours. She watched videos. She highlighted pages. She rewrote notes. She made summaries of her summaries. And still, when someone asked her to explain what she had learned, she smiled politely and hoped the fire alarm would go off. It never did. So Mia did what many serious students do when studying does not work. She studied harder. Mia was not lazy. That was the strange part. If laziness had been the problem, it would have been easier to fix. She could have told herself to stop scrolling, get out of bed, and open a book. But Mia was already opening books. She was already waking up early. She was already skipping small comforts. She was already saying things like, "I can't, I have to study." Even when she secretly wanted to go outside and feel the sun like a normal human being. Her parents were proud of her. Her friends called her disciplined. Her teachers said she was responsible. Mia liked hearing that. It made the long hours feel meaningful. Every morning, she sat at her desk with a cup of tea and a clean notebook. The first few minutes felt beautiful. The room was quiet. The page was empty. The day had not disappointed her yet. She would write the date at the top of the page. Then she would underline it. Then she would check if the underline was straight. If it was not straight, she would turn the page and start again. This was not procrastination, Mia told herself. This was preparation. Preparation was important. At least that is what she had read in a video titled, "How Top Students Prepare Their Study Space." She had watched it twice. Not because it taught her anything new, mostly because the person in the video had a very calming desk lamp. Mia's exam was in 3 weeks. It was an important exam, the kind that made adults lower their voice when they talked about it. At school, everyone was tense. Some students pretended they had not studied at all. They said things like, "I'm definitely going to fail," while carrying a backpack heavy enough to injure a small horse. Some students had accepted chaos. They drank too much coffee and wrote formulas on their hands. Mia was different. Mia had a system. Her system began with planning. On Monday morning, she created a study schedule. It was beautiful. Every hour had a purpose. 9 to 10, review chapter 1. 10 to 11, watch lecture. 11 to 11:15, break. 11:15 to 12:30, summarize notes. 12:30 to 1, lunch, but only if chapter 1 was complete. She even color-coded the schedule. Blue meant reading. Green meant review. Orange meant practice questions. Red meant urgent. By the time she finished making the schedule, it was already noon. So she adjusted the schedule. This felt responsible. After lunch, she opened her textbook. The first chapter was 42 pages. Mia took a deep breath. Page 1 had many important words. She highlighted them. Page 2 had even more important words. She highlighted those too. By page 5, almost everything was yellow. The book looked like it had been attacked by a very anxious lemon. Mia paused. Maybe yellow was not enough, so she added pink. Pink meant very important. Then she added blue. Blue meant understand this later. That was a useful category, a very large category. By the end of the afternoon, Mia had read 12 pages. She had highlighted 8 of them. She had copied 5 paragraphs into her notebook. She had watched 2 short videos to clarify difficult points. She had also watched one video about how to stop feeling overwhelmed while studying. That video made her feel better. For 7 minutes. Then she looked at the textbook again and felt overwhelmed in a more informed way. At dinner, her mother asked, "How did studying go?" Mia said, "Good." And she meant it. Sort of. She had been at her desk all day. Her back hurt. Her eyes were tired. Her hand had a small ink mark from the blue pen. Surely that counted. Surely learning felt like this. The next day, Mia continued. She woke up early and reviewed the notes she had written the day before. They looked impressive. There were arrows, boxes, underlines, and small stars beside important points. But when she tried to explain the first concept out loud, she stopped after one sentence. Then she looked at the notebook. Then she tried again. Then she looked at the notebook again. It was like trying to walk without letting go of the wall. She told herself this was normal. Understanding takes time. So she rewrote the notes. This time, she made them cleaner. She removed unnecessary words. She made the headings bigger. She used better spacing. The new notes looked much better than the old notes. This made Mia feel productive. But something strange happened. The cleaner the notes became, the less Mia actually thought about them. She was no longer asking, "Do I understand this?" She was asking, "Does this look understandable?" Those are not the same question. One happens inside your head. The other happens on paper, and paper is very easy to impress. By the end of the week, Mia had created a full study folder. It had tabs, it had labels, it had a title page. The title page had no academic purpose, but it looked serious. She placed the folder on her desk and felt a small wave of pride. Then her friend Nora came over. Nora was not as organized as Mia. Her notes looked like they had survived a storm. There were crossed out words, messy diagrams, and questions written in the margins. Mia secretly felt bad for Nora. "How are you studying?" Mia asked. Nora shrugged. "I read a section, closed the book, and tried to explain it from memory." Mia blinked. "That's it?" "Mostly. Then I do practice questions and see where I'm wrong." Mia looked at Nora's notebook again. It did not look like success. It looked like a crime scene. Mia smiled politely. "That sounds stressful." "It is," Nora said, "but I remember more when I struggle a little." Mia nodded, but inside she disagreed. Studying should feel smooth. It should feel controlled. It should feel like colorful notes and clean pages and steady progress. Struggle felt like failure. And Mia did not want to fail while preparing not to fail, so she returned to her own method. More notes, more videos, more highlighting, more planning. The days passed. Mia's desk became more crowded. There were flashcards stacked in small piles, even though she rarely tested herself with them. There were sticky notes on the wall. Some said useful things. Others said things like, "Focus," which made Mia feel guilty every time she looked at them. She had a timer app. She had a study playlist. She had a water bottle marked with motivational times. By 4 in the afternoon, the bottle always seemed disappointed in her. Still, Mia kept going. Whenever she felt scared, she did something that looked like studying. She reorganized her notes. She watched another explanation. She copied another definition. She searched for a better study method. She made a new plan because the old plan had become emotionally damaged. And every night, she went to bed exhausted. That exhaustion became her proof. If she was tired, she must have worked hard. If she worked hard, she must have learned. If she learned, she would be ready. This logic was comforting. It was also wrong. One evening, 1 week before the exam, Mia's teacher gave the class a short practice test. "Do it without notes," the teacher said. "This is just to see where you are." Mia felt calm at first. She had seen these topics many times. She recognized the words. Recognition is a dangerous feeling. It whispers, I know this. But knowing the name of a thing is not the same as understanding it. The first question looked familiar. Mia had highlighted this exact topic in yellow, or maybe pink. Definitely one of the serious colors. She picked up her pen. Then nothing happened. Her brain searched for the answer, like someone looking for keys in a very messy drawer. She remembered the page. She remembered the diagram. She remembered that she had written the definition in blue. She remembered being proud of how straight the heading was. But she did not remember the answer. Her stomach tightened. She skipped to question 2, then question 3, then question 4. Each question opened the same empty door. Around her, other students were writing. Nora was writing. Not beautifully, not calmly, but writing. Mia stared at the page. For the first time, her system did not protect her. There was no color to choose, no video to pause, no paragraph to copy, no schedule to redesign, just the question and her mind. When the teacher collected the papers, Mia felt like she had been caught pretending to be someone else. After class, she walked home slowly. Her folder felt heavier than usual. At her desk, she opened it. The notes were still beautiful. Nothing had changed. That was the problem. The notes had changed all month. Mia had not. She flipped through the pages. There were hundreds of words, but very few mistakes. That used to make her proud. Now it worried her. Where were the wrong answers? Where were the failed attempts? Where were the ugly explanations that slowly became clearer? Her folder showed effort. It did not show learning. Mia sat quietly for a long time. Then she did something she had avoided for weeks. She closed the book. She took a blank piece of paper. At the top, she wrote the name of the first topic. Then she tried to explain it without looking. The first sentence was terrible. The second sentence was worse. The third sentence was just a word with a question mark beside it. Mia hated it. It felt messy. It felt slow. It felt like proof that she was not ready. Her hand reached for the textbook. Then she stopped. For once, she did not rescue herself immediately. She sat with the discomfort. After a minute, she wrote what she thought she knew. Then she opened the book and checked. She was wrong in 3 places. Normally, that would have made her panic. But this time, something different happened. The mistakes showed her where to look, not everywhere, just there. For the first time, studying became less like decorating a room and more like fixing a leak. You did not need to repaint the whole house. You needed to find the pipe. Mia tried again. She read a small section. Closed the book, explained it out loud. Failed, checked, corrected. Tried again. It was not pretty. Her notes looked worse than before. There were arrows pointing to confused sentences. There were question marks. There were crossed-out explanations. There was one angry little drawing of a potato, because Mia needed emotional support and could not draw faces well. But something was changing. The ideas were starting to stick. Not because she touched them gently with a highlighter, because she wrestled with them. The next day, Mia changed her routine. She still used her colored pens. She was not ready to become a completely different person. But she gave them smaller jobs. Yellow was no longer for everything that looked important. Yellow was only for things she got wrong twice. Pink was for ideas she could explain without notes. Blue was for questions she needed to ask. This made the page less pretty. But it made her brain more awake. She also made a new rule. No video unless she had first tried the problem herself. This was painful. Videos were comfortable. In a video, someone else struggled for you. They moved smoothly from confusion to clarity while you sat there nodding like a tiny genius. But the exam would not ask the person in the video to answer. It would ask Mia. So Mia practiced being Mia under pressure. She answered questions before she felt ready. She explained ideas to the wall. The wall was patient, the wall never judged, the wall also never understood anything, which made it excellent practice. Sometimes Nora came over and they quizzed each other. Nora would ask, "Why does this happen?" Mia would begin confidently, then get lost halfway through. Before, she would have laughed and said, "I know it, I just can't explain it." Now she understood that sentence differently. If you cannot explain it, maybe you do not know it yet. Not always, but often. And that was not shameful. That was useful. Each wrong answer became a small map. Each blank moment became a signpost. Each ugly attempt moved her closer to real understanding. Slowly, Mia's fear changed shape. Before, she feared finding out she did not know something. Now she feared not finding out until the exam. That was a better fear, a useful fear. The night before the exam, Mia's desk looked different. It was still organized, but not perfect. There were fewer notes, more practice pages, more crossed-out answers, more small corrections. Her old folder was still there, but it was no longer the center of the universe. Mia opened it and smiled. It had helped her feel safe. But safe was not the same as prepared. She did one final review. Not by reading everything, not by highlighting the highlights. She took a blank page and wrote down the main ideas from memory. Some came easily, some arrived slowly, a few still needed help. That was okay. For once, Mia knew what she knew, and she knew what she did not know. That felt better than pretending to know everything. On exam morning, Mia was nervous. Of course she was nervous. Only furniture feels nothing before an exam. She walked into the classroom and sat down. Her pens were in a neat line. This time, there were only two. When the paper landed on her desk, her heart jumped. The first question looked familiar. For 1 second, the old Mia appeared. She wanted to remember the color, the page, the heading, the exact shape of the diagram. Then she took a breath. She stopped searching for the page. She searched for the idea, and there it was, not perfect, not glowing, not arranged in beautiful handwriting, but alive in her own words. Mia began to write. She did not know every answer. No one ever does. But she could think, she could try. She could notice when something felt wrong and work through it. She was no longer depending on the memory of having studied. She was using what she had actually learned. After the exam, everyone gathered outside the classroom. Some students complained. Some compared answers. Some said the exam was impossible, which is a traditional ceremony after most exams. Nora looked at Mia. How was it? Mia thought for a moment. Hard, she said. Then she smiled. But not empty. That was the difference. For weeks, Mia had confused the appearance of studying with the act of learning. She thought full notebooks meant a full mind. She thought long hours meant deep understanding. She thought comfort meant progress. But real learning often feels uncomfortable. It asks you to close the book before you are ready. It asks you to answer before you are confident. It asks you to meet your own confusion without immediately covering it with another color. Mia still liked clean notes. She still liked good pens. She still believed a nice desk could help. But she no longer trusted the desk more than the work. Because studying is not the art of making information look beautiful. It is the practice of making your mind strong enough to use it. And that usually begins with a blank page, a bad first answer, and the courage to find out what you do not know yet.